Hi, this is Jim Jordan with Create Vibrant Health, and today I titled this video Corona and Healing the Nation. And I was reluctant to talk about this because I've usually talked about things from a health standpoint or even a political standpoint. So this is somewhat political, but this is, I think, a deeper insight I've been having. And let me lay a little foundation. Okay, of course, we all know that certain states are taking a little harsher measures to flatten the curve and cut the virus down. In Oregon, I live in a state where the governors shut down non-essential businesses, and other states are not doing that. And it's interesting, it sort of divides some to a large degree into red and blue states. Red meaning Republican, blue being Democrat, let's say. So from what I have seen, and a little background about myself too, for those that don't know me too well. My entire adult life, I voted identify as a liberal Democrat until the last some years, where I leaned more towards libertarianism, and I've created some arguments over the years with some people because of that. But I do understand very well and relate very deeply to the progressive liberal point of view, which is so well intentioned to do good for the poor and the masses and the underprivileged and minorities. And I understand that very well. And yet I found myself sort of feeling more gravitating towards red states for some reason, which is really unusual. But I see that they're in a strange way, they are less oppressive in terms of people's freedoms in many ways. But this is not to talk about that. I'm not really aligned with a political party or anything. I'm not, for those that know, I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I didn't vote for the Democrat. I pretty much stepped out of that election. I liked Ron Paul of all the people in the previous election before that. But this is really about us coming together as a people. And what I've seen is enormous divisiveness, enormous divisiveness. People that are more Democrats, pretty much hate anybody. I have friends that voted for Donald Trump. They hate him. And Republican and strong Trump people just really put down liberal people. And that's just not going to work. There's never going to be any harmony and peace and prosperity in America as long as we're so divided. And so what is the purpose of this? I think the coronavirus, ironically, can bring us together. Okay, there's going to be different policies for sure on this, but it can bring us together, strangely enough. And from a spiritual perspective, I think it's probably doing a lot of good. And here's what I think, and this might sound strange coming from me, those that know me, but I think that there is a we have to separate out. I'm appealing to my friends who self-identify as liberal progressives, appealing to them to separate out the personality structure of Donald Trump from the people that voted for him for their various reasons. Some of the people I know, my friends, that are the most wonderful, evolved people voted for Donald Trump. And I know people are astounded by that. I mean, my friends that can't understand, other friends. And I know these people very well, and they are incredible human beings and want the best. So the first thing is to separate out the figure of a movement or a party. Sometimes people vote for a position, a person, because they don't feel there's another choice. The other choices are worse. But how about giving everybody the benefit of the doubt for everything and getting to know them? Like, I've had people really are critical of me because of my views on the Second Amendment or this and that and other things. But how about getting to know me? I like to get to know you just because we disagree. So can we be friends? And what is the merger that America needs now to come together? There's some people that benefit from our fighting and disagreeing on all kinds of things. And that's not good. So from my view is, we have to see the symbolic. This is, my partner was talking to me about this today, my lovely partner, who's sort of always encouraged me to look at things from the deeper spiritual perspective and not just the political or health perspective or physical perspective. But in a way, we've created this situation where we are staying home now. We have to slow down. Like many of my friends said, the air is clearing of pollution. Things are changing. Of course, there's some things that might happen that are bad that are changing, but there's also good that can happen. And we can create from this position. But this whole thing about red and blue, blue states and red states. And why am I leaning towards red now? And I've always been a blue person. I love blue. You can see I got blue. Blue's my favorite color. But somehow the red states seem more friendly, more open to my perspective about health and healing and freedom and self-defense and all kinds of things. I'm just really like, wow, this is interesting. So what red symbolizes earthing and grounding in connection to the earth. Blue is communication. This is my partner's talking too, but I understand this. And what is red and blue combined? Purple, I found out. Okay. I'm not an artist or anything, but it's purple. Purple is what? It's, insight, the third eye, seeing things, coming together, vision. Purple was my favorite color as a child. I grew up in my first Little League team. We had purple and gray as our colors. So purple is beautiful. And when liberal and conservative, Democrat, Republican come together, there can be something beautiful created. And we take away the personal attacks and the animosity and the judgments and preconceived ideas about each other and sit down and talk to each other. Maybe this is a time where people from different political perspectives can sit down and talk to each other. Instead of isolating themselves in camps, they can reach out even through the internet or however, for a cup of tea and sit 6 feet away from each other. Okay, but it looks like we're stuck with this for some time in Oregon, and in other states they're still hanging out together, able to go out and go to restaurants, some of them. But either way, we can get to know each other and come together, because I can tell you from my experience, imposition of my views on others is never going to work. This is what the patriarchy did. Imposing the masculine domination over the feminine has been a disaster. And imposing political correctness or my view of healthcare on on a group of people will never work. There will be reaction. There's going to be reaction in all the states where there's mandates of different types of treatments. It's not going to work. It's going to create problems. It's going to create problems in the country. So there's some things that are just are not consistent with unification and coming together. And we can each make our own decision about that. If you still believe you know best, you have to tell other people what to do. There's an opportunity for growth, I would say, for that person. And there's going to be a definite consequence and resistance from those that don't want to have that imposed on them. It's just not going to work. So what can we do as normal people, not people with massive political power or own big companies or can wheel and deal and do things like that, but as normal people, what can we do? I can do is start to question myself a bit on my biases. I've had Facebook friends say, yeah, we all have biases. And I have biases. My initial bias is, oh my God, this is a deep state psyop, Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Okay, maybe it's just a virus that came from a bat. I really don't know. It's unlikely I'll ever find out. Other people, the bias is like, my God, this is, we got to shut down society. This could kill everybody. The CDC knows the best, what's in our best interest, and blah, blah, blah. So everybody's got their bias and their sources and everything. And we all make our decisions based on what we perceive to be our best interest. Some people that are asking for more harsh measures to contain the virus through spreading from social contact have susceptibilities themselves. And that makes sense that they would do that. Others that are basically healthy and are not in the least bit afraid are saying, hey, why are you messing with my life? I can go about my own business and I won't get sick anyway. I'll take some vitamin C. So there is no objective truth. It's subjective. The reality from my perspective is something that we collectively and individually create with our belief systems. So we can choose to believe to create a world in which there is peace and love and communication and tolerance and acceptance of those that are different from us. We can live in that world. We can create that world. That's the opportunity that we have right now. Sitting home, I have not much else to do, so I'm making a video because I've been at home for a long time. For the last few years, and some of you know, I've struggled with some serious health issues that took me through a terror and hell that is far greater than this coronavirus thing is creating for me, that's for sure. And so I can relate to fear. I lived in fear. I had probably lifetimes of fear that were built up in me that I suppressed, and then it came pouring out 4 years ago. And Now it's easing up a lot as everybody else goes into terror and fear. So what do you know? So my position is that it's understandable this corona is bringing fear out. Whatever you're afraid of germs, you're going to be germophobic, okay, and not want to hug people. You're afraid of the government running some big martial law operation, you're going to be afraid of that. Nothing right or wrong about fear, it's just the way it is. But do I want to live my life in fear? And my last few years, I've seen that, wow, no, I don't. But I also want to just accept it, feel the fear, and then really allow myself to get bigger than the fear, to see from the deepest perspective I can possibly see this from. Not physical, not political, not mental, but spiritual for me. And when I look at it from that view, when I remember the deepest experiences I've ever had in my life, which in my case were more spontaneous rather than substance induced, but I saw that there is one big, beautiful consciousness I call God or the self, and that's beyond destruction. It cannot die, and it was never born. And that is who I am, and that is who we all are. That has been my experience. I had many of these experiences as a younger man, and a few in the more recent years, but not many for some reason. And from the deepest perspective possible, I am one with everything, with the brothers and sisters on this planet, the animals, the nature, everything. Even the evil that I perceive is part of what is in the consciousness, the collective consciousness that is myself. So it is my responsibility, if I'm seeing this harm or evil or bad, to purify it in myself. I do this through a Qigong practice or meditation. We all do it our own ways, but there's nothing outside of myself. That's from my view. It is all myself. Not that myself is separate from yourself. And again, those that know this, had this experience, will know what I'm saying, and those who've not, they have some variation of this. Many people have, whether it's in church with Christ consciousness being touched by the hand of God or Jesus, or whether it's in ayahuasca ceremony. Many of us have had this experience, and it's the deepest level of reality that I've ever experienced. I know that to be the truth, and I know that it's possible that we can live and create a community and society from that position, from that understanding of oneness, yet respecting individuality, individual expression, individual choice and preference, whether it's whatever it is, sexual preference or religious preference or cannabis preference or 357 Magnum preference or whatever it is. It's all beautiful, except it's all part of this expression of the one consciousness. Okay. So that's where I'm coming from today, that this coronavirus, the corona is the crown. The crown is, in spiritual metaphysical terms, the awakening to oneness consciousness. And the red and the blue, interestingly, again, my partner told me this is purple. That's the deep insight into the deeper truth of who we are. So blue is necessary to communicate. Red is necessary for survival, be grounded, pragmatism. And purple is to have insight in the truth of our being, of who we are, which is, from my view, one with the source, the creator, God. And everyone whoever's receptive to this, I appreciate your listening, and I understand for those that this doesn't make any sense to. I can understand that too, believe me. But today, this is my communication. So I want to say that I'm very grateful to have gone through what I went through, which was a crucible of purification of parts of me that needed to be purified and cleaned out. And the job will probably continue for the rest of this life, but I feel I am at least here again, and I'm ready to go out into the world. I'm a little frustrated that it's hard to go out in the world now because of the way things are going collectively, but eventually there'll be a time. This video is my desire to communicate my deep gratitude for surviving this and appreciation of being a human being at this time in life. So I'm Jim Jordan with Create Vibrant Health, and wishing you a wonderful day, and please reach out to someone who you do not agree with necessarily, but you would like to get to know and to start to heal. This world is what we need to heal our hearts more than to heal from a virus even, or from chemtrails, or from anything else, to heal our hearts and to be brothers and sisters again.